Poor girl. Well, it's like it's like it's like you and Floyd were talking about. You used to believe that 80% of cops were good, and now you believe 80% are probably bad. So, and I was the same way a year ago, even, that I thought most cops were good. I'd run across one or two iffy cops. I've never, and she doesn't even get pulled over. She never speeds. That's why she was driving through Oklahoma. I'm not stupid. Well, and that's where she's very good. She's very conscientious. She's good at maintaining speed. Not me. I start looking around and all of a sudden I'm doing 65 and a 40. Well, yeah. Well, and I don't have the beard. Well, no. Yes. No. Well, and since I've never been arrested, and I know that you have a couple of times. Um, so when an officer arrests you, does he or does he not ask you, are you armed? I'm going to search you. Is there anything that's going to poke, stab, or hurt me? Is that not normally a way to go? So I've been asked several times on some of the comments, why didn't I tell him I was concealed carrying? Well, the answer to that is when he asked me if I was part of the traffic stop, he gave me about 1 microsecond to say anything before he was around the car. And I'll be honest with you, where I carry is extremely comfortable. I kind of forgot I had it in the stressful situation we were in. I forgot I was carrying it all. Well, he put them in front of me for almost 4 minutes. Well, that's why he was shaking. That's the only reason. I guarantee you he hasn't slept one single night since this has happened. I think I didn't call him the next day because I was still really, really upset. When I did call him, I was very, very firm, but I was extremely cordial. I told him what happened. He said, well, there were threats made, and he brought my knife up. So I borrowed a knife from a friend of mine. It's about a $350 knife that wasn't, it's not mine, that's now sitting in Adair, Oklahoma, as evidence of the way I was acting. And he brought that up. And so that was good because at least I know they didn't steal the knife. My concern was that my gun was going to disappear. I got no receipt. There was no proof that that gun was taken from me at all. About seven and a half hours. Yeah, probably close to that. I'm going after all three of them. But after, so when I talked to him, we had and he was professional. I've got to give him that. He was very professional. He did hear me out. And then at the end of our conversation, he said, and I quote, well, there were threats made. And I said, and I quote, yes, there were three. And your officer made all three of them and then stole my weapon. And he never said really much of anything after that. So he knew 2 days after the incident. Oh, absolutely not. All he had done is read what Carlos wrote. And if you read, I could actually send you what he wrote. If you read his report, Dave, I guarantee you, if I was the police chief, I would have done exactly what that chief did with no other evidence. I would have done exactly what, well, there were threats made because Carlos accused me of you. Well, you heard how he said I was talking, which I wasn't, but he said I was. Well, even the other cop that showed, well, Flavia, when an officer's by himself and somebody's acting the way your husband was, dude, you have no idea how I was acting except for what you're believing Carlos is saying, which I understand. You have no audio or I have no audio. Hey, listen, you just got my audio working. Come on now. I hear you just fine. So, but you're doing the live stream thing. No, these questions you're asking are very important. So while you're doing that, I'll just finish up with the no. The chief was extremely cordial. but I could definitely tell he was not believing anything I said. And essentially, I look at it like this. Everybody says they're innocent. Walk into any prison and ask any inmate, hey, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. So I didn't really think I was going to get much out of that. But what I did think, and I told him, I said, you need to watch the footage of his body cam or dash cam. At the time, I was told there was a dash cam. Come to find out, Adair does not have dash cams. All they have are body cams, which I think is kind of odd.
Okay, I got audio now.
See, you got it fixed.
I don't know if I did or not. Hold on. Finally, he noticed. Let me turn up the volume on the thing here.
Well, and since I've never been arrested, and I know that you have a couple of times.
Tell him I'm working on it. Your audio's working, mine's not.
When an office is made, he's working on it. Hey, listen, he's going to have to get his grandkid involved here in a minute.
I don't know what.
Any prison and ask any inmate, hey, did you do it? No, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. So I didn't really think I was going to get much out of that.
1111111. Okay, so my audio's working now. Sorry guys. Okay. Man, I don't even know what changed. I just hit a couple buttons. We were just having this conversation. Okay, just as a quick aside, guys. We were just having this conversation about, because he had trouble with his mic when I first started, and we couldn't get his mic working. And he does the same thing I do. He's got grandkids that come in and fix it for him. And I was saying, well, if something goes wrong, I have to have a grandkid come in and fix it for me.
To be fair, Dave, you don't look that much older than me, but you must be, because I have to call my son. My grandkid's only 3 months old.
Oh, how old are you?
58.
Okay, yeah, I'm just a couple years older than you, but I guess I must have started younger than you.
You started early.
Yeah. Okay, let me turn this back down. So, all right, getting back to it. Okay, so you spoke to the chief. He gave you a bunch of lip service, basically, and it just went from there. So, and that is exactly what I'm hearing from the other people. The chief was, all good and cordial, but I believe my officer over anybody else. And that's the same thing that you got.
Now, I did get one of the respondents to the lackluster video. I was reading through the comments, and somebody apparently has been to court in Adair, Oklahoma at some point. They said basically there's Carlos, Nathan Goddard, the prosecutor, and a judge. And no matter what you say, the judge says, no, I believe the officer, and click, pay your money and go.
Yeah, and we were having this conversation a minute ago when you guys couldn't hear me. This town, this is all they do. They pick on people with out-of-state license plates because they know that those people are 6 or 7 hours away, and it's cheaper to just pay the $300 fine than it is to come back and fight it. And that's what the average person is going to do. And that is all that this town does. And, it's despicable, absolutely despicable that this kind of thing happens. In 2021, we're still having this kind of stuff. And the only way we're ever going to stop it is by guys like you coming forward and pointing out when it happens. Because as much as I would like to be everywhere, I can't be.
So 5 minutes after we drove away, and just as an aside, when at the very end of the video, if people watch it to the end and wonder why my wife's not pulling out, his truck was almost in the lane. He didn't pull all the way off the road. So from her vantage point, she could literally only see about 10 feet past his truck. So she's trying to creep out without getting T-boned. And he's just like, well, go. Well, we can't see. So maybe you could actually do some police work, step out and protect and serve, and look down there and make sure she can go. But anyway, 5 minutes after we pulled away, I was on the phone to a lawyer because I'd just gotten accused of a felony, although I thought it was kind of odd that I didn't have to get booked or go to jail or anything for a felony, but I thought that was a little weird. So
Hey, that's the best kind of felony to catch.
I'm telling you, and I got to drive away. The only thing I lost was my weapon. So I was on the phone to a lawyer. I didn't at that moment hire him, but I talked to him, told him what happened. Of course, I was a little upset. Still, kind of my heart rate's still probably at 250. And a week and a half later, we went ahead and hired him. That was 2.5 months, almost 3 months ago. So Adair, Oklahoma, their court clerk is a retired part-time person who works about 8 hours a week. So to get with her, because you can't just call the prosecutor apparently, you have to get a hold of her to schedule to meet with the prosecutor. Well, it was a month and a half before the prosecutor ever even got the video I've had since the middle of March.
How did you get that video? Open records?
If I'd have tried to get it, I probably would have never gotten it, but the lawyer was able to get it within a couple of weeks.
Okay, so he got it through discovery.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And part of why he waited to send it to me was he wanted to make sure he had all of the evidence. Well, I told him, I said, look, I called the police chief 2 days later. You know they record those phone calls. That would go really well to, is Mark really got anger issues? Because I was extremely cordial to him. I was as
did not
cordial
see
to him as he was to me.
No, I mean, you were fine. Dude, if he had pulled me out of the car the way he pulled you out of the car, he'd have got an earful from me. You know, so I thought...
Well, you're taller than I am.
And better looking.
Well, I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah.
No, I did shave this off, so...
Dude, you got to get that back. You got to get that back to women. Oh, well, you're married. It doesn't matter. Anyway...
Who am I trying to impress?
All those cops that want to drag you out of the car and handcuff you.
And I think he liked me.
Oh, you know, I don't know about all that. But, dude, there was nothing wrong with anything you did. I mean, it was so funny to hear you laugh when he told you it was disorderly conduct. Because I was laughing already, you know, and then you started laughing, and that just made me laugh harder. I mean, I'm just like, the dude knows. The dude knows. You know, and then I came to find out when you said, you know, bad cops get good cops hurt. That's not what I say. I say bad cops get good cops killed. When you said that, everybody I know was like on the phone to me. Hey, this guy's one of your subscribers. How long have you been a subscriber?
A while.
Okay. So.
And I kind of got away from the whole audit thing for probably about a year. And what's really weird is about 2.5 weeks ago, my lawyer keeps telling me, don't put this out, don't put this out. He's almost like on the side of Adair. Don't put this out, don't put this out, don't let this get out. And about 2 weeks ago, for whatever reason, all of a sudden your feed started showing up in my feed, your videos. And I watch News Now Houston, News Now Community, what's the other one? News Now, I can't even think of it. There's so many. There's probably 40 of them. And all of a sudden they just started popping up. And David, I'm telling you, it was almost like a sign from God. And that's when I decided to cut the video the way I cut it, which I know I do weddings. I cut video for weddings. It's totally different than this. And
dude, you got skills when it comes to editing. You got skills. You did good.
Well, but see, Lackluster did some things I didn't think of, like where I cut and put the beginning in.
Yeah.
He just put that never happened, which takes your mind back to the first. See, I did the whole thing, so I wasted time. So, I mean, there's little things about the internet that I don't know because I upload stuff to YouTube so that my clients can download it easy. That's the only reason. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a First Amendment auditor. I'm not sure I have the temperament. Because if somebody grabbed me like those FBI agents did to you and twisted your arm the way they were, I'm not sure I could stay passive. I'm gonna protect even though he dislocated my shoulder. So I guess maybe I can stay passive.
You know, in that particular situation, you have to realize that reacting physically is only going to make things worse. You know, so the goal is to get them to let you go. You negotiate with them. Look, I'm not armed. You know, try and calm the situation down. When that fails, then you do something different. In that particular instance, I knew if I started cussing, you know, that they would cuss me. And so that got my arm out, cut loose, which was my ultimate goal, because they were really torturing me. I mean, that was very painful. Yes,
It sounded like it.
it was a lot more painful than I let on. But so you got, what was the actual charge? How fast was she written for?
58 and a 45.
58 and a 40. So 12 over, 12, 13 over. And you guys are fighting it. Yes?
Well, my lawyer tells me they're going to basically throw everything out. On the 7th of next month, basically I'm supposed to walk in there and everything's thrown out. Now, the only thing I'm going to miss out on at this point is, since Carlos has been kicked out pending investigation, he's not going to be in court. Well, I have a right to face my accuser.
Only if you're going to trial. If they're just going to kick it out and dismiss it.
No, the officer has to be there.
Not if they're dismissing it. Not if they're dismissing it.
I don't know that they are, to be honest with you. Who knows with these people?
I suspect that you're going to get a letter in the mail before the 7th saying, please don't come back here again. We've dropped all charges.
The police chief has my phone number.
Yeah. It'll
he could have called me months ago.
No, they would never call you and tell you that. They will send you a letter.
Well, I haven't gotten one of those.
That's how it works. They never call you to tell you. They just send you a letter because they don't want to have to say, oh, we messed up, and have to deal with you. What kind of gun do you carry? Was that a Smith & Wesson Shield that I saw?
No, it's a Glock 19.
Dude, you can't afford something better than that?
It's got 30. Hey, here's the deal. The gun I used to carry had 71 moving parts. The Glock 19, 31.
Okay.
Half the things to go wrong with it. In a firefight, less is more.
Okay.
Less things to break.
I'm just not a Glock fan.
I never have been either, but the guy sold me on it.
Yeah.
And it's never failed me, so.
No, when Glocks first came out, okay, I was around when Glock first hit the United States, okay? And I used to carry a 1911 all the time. And I went to the range one time, and this guy, as I'm leaving, of course, being a gun guy, I always stopped and looked at the gun case. And he's got this thing in there, and I'm like, what is that thing? That thing is ugly as sin, And he picks it up. He said, it's from Austria. It's called a Glock. And I handled it, and I'm like, man, the grip angle's wrong. He says, watch this. And he takes it, and he throws it across the floor of the gun shop. And my eyes are like this big around. He said, would you ever do that to a 1911? I said, no. What are you thinking? And I picked it up. So I go over, I pick it up. There's not a mark on it. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. I said, but does it work? Because, 1911, you get a brand new 1911, you got to get a few hundred rounds through it before you can rely on it, break it in. He just right out of the box, 100%. And I'm like, I find that hard to believe. And he says, no. So I bought a box of shells, and I rented the gun. It was brand new, had never been fired. Took it in the range, put a 50, 60 rounds through it, and it ran like a sewing machine. But I cut my teeth. I started shooting on a 1911. So
me too.
Once you're set on that grip angle, it's hard to adapt to something different. So I have a preference for CC75s or the PO7s or the PO9s or something along those lines. I could just never adapt to the Glock. Just couldn't do it. I could never adapt to the 226s, the SIGs. Wonderful weapon. But every time I would go to drop the slide, hit the slide release, I'd hit the decocker lever. It's all in the wrong place. And that is a
P230.
Okay.
SIG P230.
Yeah. That's a good gun. Absolutely good gun.
I've been happy with it.
Yeah.
It's a little big to carry, conceal.
Yeah.
Which is why part of the reason I went with the 19, because it fits. I mean, obviously you saw the video. Could you tell I was carrying?
No. At one point after I found out you were carrying, I went back and watched closer to try and see, if this guy's just stupid. And there were probably 3 times when the butt printed, and I saw it, and I'm like, man, this guy is. But
it was appendix carry.
Yeah, I knew where he had it. But I'm saying the cop never saw it.
No.
He was clueless until you told him. And a Glock, for those of you that don't know, a Glock 19 is about the same size as a Byrna HD. That
Yep.
right there. Let me give you something for size comparison. Okay? The Byrna HD is almost the same size dimensionally as a Glock 19. So that dude is a hazard. He is a hazard.
It's not
to
a small
himself.
gun.
No, it's not. No,
And I'm not a big guy. I weigh about 180 pounds, and got a little bit of a gut on me, so it does imprint when I wear a tighter shirt. But the guy that made my concealed carry holster, I can actually tuck my shirt in, and it's really, if I lose 10 pounds, you can't tell.
That's crazy. I'm like I said, when it comes to, when they holler about officer safety all the time, the only person that was in danger out there that day was you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was keenly aware of that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you can tell. I don't think you can tell in the video, except for the very last couple of frames when he's actually chasing me after I said, you're the kind of guy.
Yeah, when he ran around the side of the car.
And it doesn't really look like I'm running till I get in the car and the door closes. I was moving pretty quick because I heard that little fat man running at me. And I saw visions of a bullet in my back or his nightstick across my head. I had to get turned around, and I didn't have time to stand outside the car and get turned around to see what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he was pulling the nightstick out.
Yeah, I saw when he got to the window of the car, he had it out. It's not a nightstick, it's ASP, a baton that
collapsible
deploys.
baton.
Yeah.
So it's funny because several people have said, well, you should have stayed in the car at the very beginning and called for a superior officer.
Who? It's a 3-man police department.
Well, I actually might have done that if he hadn't already had his hand on his collapsible nightstick or his collapsible baton.
Yeah.
He would have busted my window out, dude. I have no doubt. I could see it in his eyes. So if you notice when he comes around and he tells me, I'm not going to ask you again, and then tells me to get out. Well, so far you have never asked me to get out. You've told me to get out. But that notwithstanding, you see that both of my hands are perfectly still on my knees.
Yes.
They never moved from the time he walked up to the car. Because all I could see when he said that is me taking my seatbelt off and him coming around and pulling his weapon and killing me.
Yeah.
He was reaching for something. I made sure he could see my hands. I moved real slow, undid the seatbelt, and threw it up. I mean, it's all calculated because if you could have seen his eyes,
oh no,
if they could have been blood red,
yeah,
they'd have been blood red.
I've seen it, dude. I've seen it before, and it's like, I'm not moving because if I move, you're going to kill me.
Exactly.
And it's, man, it's sad. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Everything that you saw, everything that you see in that video represents what is wrong with law enforcement in America today. That guy, we were talking about him. So you say on his linked profile, when I read it, I guess I didn't read it in depth, I just glanced at it, but it said on there that he was a waiter, I thought, in a Mexican food restaurant. But you're saying that, you're going to pull it up real quick and look?
Well,
I think he took it down.
I actually downloaded it. And,
okay. What does it say he did? Because I could see that dude being a waiter.
Business owner and operator. B Humido Restaurant. Part-time. Manager and staff of 8 employees. Ordered and managed inventory. Paid vendors and invoices.
How are you, if you're an owner, how are you part-time? Exactly. Yeah.
So you're probably closer. He was probably nothing more than a busboy.
Yeah.
But then on his patrol thing, maintained order. So he worked at a place called
North Tulsa or North OKC.
Daisy. No, Daisy.
Daisy. Disney, Oklahoma. Yeah.
For 1 year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say why he left there. It says full time.
I got a good guess. I got a good guess why he left there.
Probably really hurt somebody. Patrolman, canine handler, maintained order and protected the community.
Translator. He was a translator.
Yeah, Mays County emergency responders. Response to emergency, enforce motor vehicle criminal, use trained police dogs and help. And he goes on that he's looking, here's what he's looking for. A company that will test his problem solving skills. Okay, David, you're the passenger in the car. I walk up and you say, bullshit. I'm going to look at you and say, sir, is the traffic stop with you? And I'm going to wait. I'm going to determine my next move on what you say.
Correct.
If you say to me, F you, I might make a different choice, but probably most people are going to, you know what, I'm sorry.
Well, see,
I blurted it out.
you know, what I'm going to do is ignore you. I'm here. I'm going to stay on task, okay? Get the driver's license, get all of that. I want to keep an eye on you, okay? But I'm not going to engage you because that's just going to make things worse.
Right.
Until the point that you're interrupting what I'm doing, at which point I'll engage you. Now, you're talking about when he said to get out of the car that, you know, you were concerned about. If you had tried to stay in the car, even demanding a supervisor, okay, that would have gotten you a charge that would probably stick. Okay, interfering or whatever they call it in Oklahoma, you know. So you did the right thing going ahead and getting out. I would have gotten out. And I would have handled it just like you did. I would have laughed at him. But you know what you did when you laughed at him? You emasculated him. You enraged him because then you had challenged him. You challenged my authority.
His whole entire purpose from that moment on was to get my ID.
Yeah.
And I thought I actually handled that pretty well.
You did fine, dude. You did fine. You did fine. Once they've got you out like that, you need to ID. Okay, there's no point in not IDing. But you handled it just fine. But he was enraged, and he was going to show you who had the power. I mean, come on, he arrested you 3 times?
Twice.
Twice?
And the threat once more.
Yeah, and you never got booked. Gosh. Oh, man, I'm sorry, but...
I'm just lucky that way.
Yeah. I would have had a good time with that guy. I'd have gone to jail for sure. But I'd have had a good time with that guy. I just couldn't help myself. When they act like that, I just can't help it.
Well, me laughing, some people have said, well, it was nervous, but it really wasn't. I was actually laughing at him because everything he was saying was it was like a 10-year-old kid.
Exactly.
I'm not real threatened by a 10-year-old, so I'm not too worried about it.
So that 10-year-old's got a gun. So
that's true.
That's scary. That's scary. So, but I would not have been able to help myself. I seriously couldn't have. I could not have handled it as well as you did. Because
you don't think so?
No. No. Once those cuffs went on me and he put me in the back of that patrol car, he'd have got an earful. You know, but that's me. That's me. You know, don't try to mimic me. I tell people that all the time. You know, because nothing good comes of it. But if you do, call me. I'll come bond you out. I get auditors all the time. They say, man, I was trying to be like you. I said, don't do that.
Well, I said what you always say, so obviously I was emulating you.
You did. And when I heard that, and everybody was sending this to me saying, this guy's one of your subscribers for sure. I mean, you know, but the only difference was you say, you know, bad cops get good cops hurt. And I always say bad cops get good cops killed. You know, and I have had cops try to turn that around. Are you threatening me? No, I'm stating facts. You're a cop killer. I have said that to cops before, and they don't like it. I've
never heard you say that.
Yeah, they don't like it. You know, honestly, usually I edit that out. I don't want people to emulate that and end up getting themselves in trouble. You know, I know where the line is, and I'm okay. If you're stupid enough to arrest me for that, I'm not the average person. I mean, I have 3 criminal defense lawyers on call. You know, I have civil lawyers on call. So I'm prepared.
I need to talk to you about that later.
Okay. I mean, my point is that I'm prepared for this. I have a bondsman. Okay, all I got to do is pick up the phone. I've been arrested. They'll come bond me out. We'll settle up later. Okay, that's just a hazard. You know, or a byproduct of what I do. And it's unfortunate because if there were good cops out there, I wouldn't need all of that safety net. You know? Well,
I've been in sales for a long, long time, owned my own company for 34 years. I chose my words carefully. I don't know if you notice how my cadence changed as I'm walking away. I was choosing my words very carefully. I said, first, you need to be safe. That's a gratiating thing.
Yeah.
That's when I said, you're the kind of guys that get cops hurt. I said it very, very carefully and very strategically because I could see in his eyes he was going to do something. I wasn't sure what. I knew he couldn't let it go. What I was actually hoping on is the skinny dumbass there that didn't identify himself would grab his fat shoulder and say, dude,
Yeah, let it
stand
go.
down,
Yeah, let it go.
stand down.
He can't do that though, because
He could have.
he wouldn't do it, because if he ever needs help himself, or if he ever does something stupid like that, he needs this guy to back him up.
Yeah.
You know. So since my mic wasn't working when we first started this, I want to ask again. You know, how often do you beat your wife?
Never.
Never. Okay.
Well, not this week anyway, so you know it.
Hey, spankings don't count.
Oh,
No, I could not believe he went there. I could not.
that?
What'd she say?
I just hollered at her to see if she'd come in and say hi.
Oh, okay. I could not believe he went there with that. That
With
whole
what?
that whole conversation about beating your wife
Oh,
and anger issues and
yeah.
stuff, that was completely inappropriate. Completely
Wagging his
inappropriate.
finger at me.
She's like, who's that?
That's my wife.
Yeah. Tell her she's got about 1,200 people looking at her right now.
I'm a professional storyteller. I'm used to it. It's okay.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny because that's why she wasn't afraid of him either, and I think that pissed him off.
Well, see, but I could tell by her demeanor, she trusts the police.
Yeah.
So that's why she would talk to him and do all of that, because she's never been in a situation like that. I mean, I could see it. She was like, I don't understand why this is happening. You could see the expressions on her face. And so when they came up to talk to her, you know, of course she's going to try and talk the situation down. Hey, yes, he has anger issues. Well, who doesn't?
Yeah.
You know, step on my toes and watch me get angry. That doesn't mean I beat my wife. It doesn't mean I beat my kids, my dog, my car, whatever. Making that connection from a simple remark about, yeah, he has a temper, is completely inappropriate and unnecessary. And it was designed and intended, you know, they lured her into that.
Yeah.
And so that he could come back there and just give you grief.
And he asked her 3 questions. Is he on anything? Does he have mental issues? Anger issues? So he set it up that way.
Sure.
What I find interesting about the whole interaction between he and I is all he cared about were his feelings. So after he handed her the ticket, Oklahoma state law requires that a traffic stop be of a reasonable, they don't give you a time, but a reasonable amount of time.
20 minutes
Once
is
he
what the
handed
Supreme
her
Court
that
has said.
citation, his traffic stop is over.
Correct.
He should have marched back, taken me out, uncuffed me, and sent me on my way. His threat's over. He took it to, and you can tell when he kept cutting Flavia off when she's talking, he kept saying, well, let me tell you why your husband's in cuffs. Let me tell you why he went on cuffs. No, I don't have to answer that. Let me tell you why he went on cuffs. That was the purpose for the stop. Him getting me. Because I had wronged him in some way. Apparently, I moved my hands when we went past him. And you see me, David, how long have we been doing this? A half hour?
Yeah.
Have you seen me not talk with my hands yet?
No.
I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
I do. I always have. So I'm in a private conversation in my car with my wife. I moved my hands as we went past him. I didn't care if he was there. She's doing under 45. And my parents always told me, my dad always said, don't drink and drive. Do the speed limit. Drive safe. And you don't have to worry about the cops.
Absolutely. You know, back in the day, but see, we lived in a different time then.
That's true.
Now the police have become primarily revenue generators. And now you do have to worry. You need, what has the world come to when you have to have a dash cam to prove you weren't speeding? Why? I have to have a body camera, and I keep a body camera in each vehicle I have and carry with me everywhere I go, because at any given time.
I just bought that.
Oh, the Bob Love. Okay, that's not a bad camera. At any given time, I may interact with law enforcement, and I need an independent witness,
right.
Because you can't trust the police, because they lie. Especially if they want to get you, they will lie. So I have body cameras. I have dash cameras. Not just dash cameras. I got dash cameras and other camera equipment. Okay, I have to be careful how I say this because I don't want to give up too much information.
But don't give your secrets away.
Well, I had the Border Patrol plant some contraband on me. So I have camera systems. Oh, is that a Vixia? No, it's a Sony.
Sony.
Yeah. I have camera system concealed in my vehicle that gets angles and it can't be gotten to unless you know
Right.
about it. So I'll just leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Yeah. And it's because you can't trust the police. You know, when I first started doing this, I was very pro-police. I was one of those bootlickers, and that's why I started doing this. I didn't start doing this because I hate the cops. That's what everybody, oh, you hate the cops. You hate the cops. I don't hate the cops. I hate bad cops. And so when I first started doing this, I was one of those guys, oh, you know, it's just like 0.1% bad. Let me show you. I'll go out with a camera and show you. Boy, did I get taught. I got educated. And so when I tell people nowadays, I was like, well, why do you think so many cops are bad and how many are bad? I said, well, it's about 80% are bad, and the other 20% are bad because they won't stand up to the bad ones. So there's your numbers. And why are they bad? I said, because we allowed them to unionize and get stuff like qualified immunity, and they've abused it. They've abused it. And so now we've got to take it back. And it didn't happen overnight. You know, it took 20, 30 years to get to where we are. It's going to take 20 or 30 years to get it back to right.
Well, and I've been driving since I was 15. I'm 58. I've been driving for 43 years. So if I was going to give anyone any advice, don't wait till now. I had my dash cam from my truck in my hand before we left to go down on that trip. And I said to myself, Flavia's driving. She doesn't speed. I don't need it.
What is her name? How do you say her name?
Flavia.
Flavia? That's an unusual name.
Flavia. Flavia. I'm spelling it wrong. Good night. Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of Flavus Josephus.
No.
From Rome. It's a Roman name.
Okay.
So Flavus is her dad's name, and Flavia is the female derivative of that.
Got it.
So yeah, it's a unique name. There's probably 4 or 5 in the world. And I've got one of them, so there.
Hey. So, yeah, you know, I agree with you about the dash cams, but I tell everybody should have a dash cam in their car. And they've gotten to be so cheap now. If you've got $100, you can get a good dash cam with GPS. And I review, you can look back here on the channel, there will be reviews of different dash cams and stuff. Buy one, put one in every car, hardwire it in so when you start the car, it comes on, turn the car off, it goes off. But remember that if you get stopped, when you turn the car off, turn it to accessory so that the camera continues to run.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
So I actually got them cheap enough. I got them for, I think it was like $90 a piece. I went ahead and bought 2.
What are they? What brand, you know?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I don't even remember now. I'll look and post it or something.
Okay.
I've got one in the front, so it does 1080p forward and 720 into the cab.
Okay.
And then I bought another one to put on the back glass that's 1080p to the back and 720 into the cab. Okay. So I've got one front and back, and I alternate them. So even no matter where a cop would walk up, he's on a camera. So I figured with the 2, I've got pretty good coverage. The problem is when I'm driving, I need them, I think. Now I found out when she's driving, I need them too. But after 43 years of driving, I've been pulled over in my entire life 10 times. And I speed a lot. So I've been very fortunate because it should be 60 times. But I've never in my life, I've been doing 95 and a 60 before.
Yeah.
And the cop didn't give me a ticket. Because he came up so cordial, so professional, and I just looked at him and said, I'm headed to my mom's house. She has no water. So I was not even thinking about my speed. And he stands up, he looks around. He goes, well, because they were doing a helicopter, they were pulling people over right and left. Uh-huh. And he looks around and he goes, we're pretty flush here. So let me just tell you this. If I catch you again, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
I got his name and badge number. I thanked him, and I sent a personal letter to the station, the highway patrol, because he had no reason to let me go.
Yeah. Especially if those
guys have taken my driver's license.
Yeah.
30 miles an hour over, they pull your license. It's what he should have done.
Yeah.
So there are still some good guys out there.
No, I agree.
But,
you know, I agree. You know, I had a Corvette here not too long ago. Before I got the Cobra, I had a blue Corvette, and I picked it up in Connecticut, and I did a big long road trip, went down to Jacksonville, got some lasagna at my sister's, and as I'm coming back through the panhandle of Florida, I got this idea. Let's see what this thing will do.
What did it do?
Well, I was close to the state line, okay? So I'm thinking there's not going to be any cops out here, you know, and by the time they turn around to come after me, I'd already crossed the state line. Well, first off, I misjudged how far it was to the state line. And second off, I misjudged the Florida Highway Patrol. So I ran it up about 135, and here he goes. Zoom. I'm like, oh. So, all right, so what do I do? Do I be the honest, good citizen and pull over and wait for him? Because there's no way he's going to catch me before the state line. Or do I make a run for the state line? And I'm thinking, you know, my luck, there's one waiting for me at the state line with spike sticks.
You can't outrun the radio.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the right thing. It's hard, but I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to go ahead and pull over. So I did. I pulled over and waited for him. Took him about 30 minutes. And it wasn't that long. I didn't time it because I'm sitting there dragging out my driver's license and getting ready for him. And but he showed up and comes up and he goes, you know, do you know why I stopped you? And I said, no, sir, but if you hum a few bars, I'll try and sing along. And he didn't see the humor in that, so I'm like, okay. You know, he's like, you know, he comes back up with it. He says, look, he says, Florida is the playground of the rich. He said, you are not the fastest sports car I've ever caught out here. He says, matter of fact, you're not even close. He says, I'm just going to let you off with a verbal warning. State line's that way, about 5 more miles. Keep it at the speed limit till you hit the state line. He said, after that, I don't care what you do. I said, okay, so just out of curiosity, I said, you know, what'd you clock me at? He goes, well, I got you at 129. And I said, man, I said, it's speedometer error. He goes, speedometer error? I said, yeah, my speedometer's not reading right. He said, well, it can't be reading that far off. And I said, no, you don't understand. I said, it said 135, so now I know. He just laughed. Finally, I got a laugh out of the guy, and he said, have a nice night, and turned me loose. Yeah, you said you've been stopped 10 times in your life. I was stopped 10 times between. I started driving at 14. In Texas, you used to be able to get your license at 14, and between 14 and 18, I was probably stopped 20 times. And that's just yeah.
So I either obeyed the law or I was extremely lucky.
I had a lead foot. But well, Mark, I appreciate you coming on and telling us your story. Keep me posted. I might make a trip to Oklahoma on your court date to come up there and have a nice visit with this little city. Maybe get 2 or 3 other guys to pop in there and help me out. I know it's only like 1 block long. There's not much to it there. 2 blocks?
It's 2.
2 blocks and 1 red light, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It might be a little bigger than that. It's got 800 people.
And 3 policemen.
And 3 policemen.
Yeah, 3 policemen. Unbelievable. But I wish you best of luck, man. I'm sorry this happened to you.
Hey, you know what? It's got to happen sometime, right?
You know.
I'm just glad
I'm saying I'm sorry it happened to you, but in truth, it's better that it happened to you than some other guy that couldn't keep his mouth shut or keep his temper in check.
Right.
You know.
Well, and it's like I told my wife, what if he'd have pulled the guy over that was literally with COVID and all the lockdowns, was on the ragged edge, and all he said was, "That's crazy," and gets pulled out, and then gets his hands put in front of him for another reason.
Yeah.
And it's like I told her, I said, I'll bet he wakes up in a cold sweat going, oh crap.
Well, and again, I'm getting information from other people that have dealt with this guy, and I'll be getting some of those videos up as that information comes to fruition. But you see the way this guy acted. This is typical for him. This is common behavior for him. This was not something that was a one-time event. This is business as usual for this guy. So, you know, honestly, I don't think he's mentally stable. No, based on what I saw, I honestly do not believe this guy's mentally stable.
I'm not sure he's reached puberty yet with the way his voice was cracking.
I won't even start on that voice. That's just that was just because when the first time I heard that, like I said, I get a lot of videos, and yours came across, and I wasn't even, I don't know, a minute into the video when he was yelling at you, and I'm immediately like, what the hell? What? And I had to back it up because I thought I missed something. And this guy just went from stupid to stupider to stupidest. Just never once did he try to de-escalate or tone it down. It was all about take it up a notch, take it up a notch.
Exactly. It was all about him and what he was after. And what he was after was stitching me up because he didn't like that I was a quarter Indian. I don't know.
Are you a quarter Indian?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't look Indian.
Well, it's because I'm only a quarter. What do you want? It's the lights. The lights are bleeding out.
Okay.
No, I'm a quarter Cherokee Indian.
Ah.
But I don't really look. My grandmother really looked Indian. She had real high cheekbones, and so I got lucky and didn't really. But when I tan
it really
pretty
comes
much
out
red. It's pretty much red. Yeah.
Ooh.
So no, I thought it was very interesting how he, in interacting with my wife, handed her that, and then he immediately went to exactly what he wanted everything to be about. And it was all about me from the beginning. I asked my wife, I said, what do you think would have happened if I'd have never said anything? I honestly believe he'd have figured a way to drag me into it.
Yeah, he'd have just come around there and asked you for your ID, and when you said something...
And I would have refused.
Well, he said, why do you need my ID? Oh, out of the car, out of the car. Disorderly conduct.
Right.
You're interfering.
Interfering.
That's their go-to charge, interfering. We should not even have that on the books.
No.
If you want to interfere with their job, that should be your right. You pay their salaries. Hey,
Yeah.
we're starting to see. Luckily, we're starting to see a lot of laws like that getting turned around or fine-tuned to help to take away the abuse, and that's a good thing.
So is it New Mexico that got away with the immunity?
Colorado, New Mexico, New York, and I think California did it too. New York City was really interesting. A local newspaper up there, the New York Times. You probably never heard of it. It's just a small newspaper, but yeah, they got the memos that the police union was putting out about now they didn't have qualified immunity. Hey guys, whoever's throwing me the super chat, thank you. And the police union was putting out memos warning their members, police officers, hey, you got to follow the law now because there's no qualified immunity, and if you mess up, so make sure you follow the law. Why do they even have to say that?
Yeah, right.
The cops should have been following the law to start with.
Because they know they're not.
No, because they know they're not. That's right.
So his qualified immunity, at what point because you've done this longer than I have, at what point in my little incident here did his end?
Again, it's in a different circuit than I'm in, so it's hard to say, but I don't think that he has qualified immunity, and I'm not a lawyer, okay, it's just my opinion. Based on the way he was acting, I think he's going to have a hard time justifying what he did. Because, okay, so like pulling you out of the car. Officers are allowed to do that for officer safety, okay?
Right.
But you sitting there saying, oh, this is BS. That's not an officer safety situation. You haven't said, you're not screaming at him. You're not threatening him. It's just, man, this is BS, okay? I think he's going to have a hard time justifying that. Man, there's just so much wrong with that stop. Honestly, I think they'd settle out of court. I don't think they want that going before a judge and a jury, because they're going to react to it the same exact way everybody else that's seen that video has reacted. I got cops. Go look at the comment chains. I've got cops that watch me for intelligence gathering stuff,
right.
And whatever they do.
Have they found any yet, though? That's the question.
That's debatable. But they, and I have a lot of cops that watch me because it's A, entertaining, B, they like seeing bad cops get in trouble, whatever. They have their own reasons for watching me. And they're commenting. And some of them have sent me emails even saying how egregious that guy's behavior was. And that hardly ever happens. It happens every once in a while. but the situation has got to be really bad before the cops will stand up and say that's bad.
Well, it must be bad enough because by 4 hours after I uploaded it, I got a email from Lackluster, and he said, "Hey, do you care if I cut this?" I shared a Dropbox with him, and literally the next day he had it up. Within 3 hours of him putting it up, there were 120,000 views, and within 8 hours, Adair's Facebook, or city Facebook, police Facebook, and phone number were down.
Yeah.
So, well, from everything I've read, and of course, I just started kind of really getting back into watching some of this stuff. I've never seen anything like it.
Oh, I have. So once, when people get upset about a situation, they want to express themselves, and so they take to Facebook or the phones. And what usually ends up happening is a bad department. This is how you can tell a bad department from a good department. A good department will leave it up. They'll leave the posts up, that whatever you guys are saying, and they'll put out a statement about the incident, and they'll take the heat for it. A bad department is going to take down their Facebook page. They do it every time. Another thing you'll find that bad departments do is they try to victim blame. Well, he was speeding, and 30 years ago he was arrested for possession of marijuana, so he's a bad guy. Stupid stuff like that.
Well, and that was another thing. So I'm bondable. So tomorrow I could go to work for any alarm company or security company in the nation because I'm bondable.
I hear Adair Police Department's hiring.
I could go to work there. I don't know that I have the temperament for it, but I really don't. My point with that is, I told my lawyer, I said, look, they're taking so long to do this. What kind of a dumb, trumped-up charge are they trying to come up with? I can't have that. I'm not going to let a 31-year-old punk destroy 58 years of my good name that I've spent time building for something like this. It's not going to happen. I never touched the gun. I never looked at the gun. I never thought. I actually forgot about the weapon. You can only keep somebody's weapon if it's been used in the commission of a crime, or you get caught with it while you're in the commission of a crime, and it can become evidence.
Sure.
The way you're acting, I still thought I was acting fairly calm.
Okay, so what they're going to claim is that they seized the weapon under the safekeeping statute. It's not a statute. There's Oklahoma, I believe, has a red flag law, and so there's going to be something like that is what they're going to claim. But there was no reason to seize your weapon. It had nothing to do with anything. Okay? It was, once again, he's not going to come back 700 miles to get a $350 handgun. He'll just pay the ticket. The gun will be ours. Hey, I got me a new Glock.
Not going to happen.
I'm with
there's
you.
There's $40 worth of ammo in it. It's not as nice as yours though. I watched the one. Where were you? Where they busted one of your.
Those pepper balls. That's LaPorte.
Yeah. Where was that?
LaPorte, Texas. Yeah. And I'm going to. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Monday, the city of LaPorte has a city council meeting, and I plan to attend that city council meeting.
You're not going to live stream it, I hope.
I'll have to. I'll have to, because I'm probably going to walk out like this. So we'll see. We'll see. But
well, take somebody with you.
Oh, I had, it's funny, when I got arrested here, for saying F the LaPorte police, I actually had 3 people with me. 2 of them were undercover and were texting me and warning me, hey, they just cleaned out the back of the patrol car. They're going to arrest you. And that was before I even got to the podium. And I had a LaPorte cop that had texted me and told me, do not go to this meeting. They're going to arrest you. And I said, what for? He said, they'll make something up. And so I knew when I was standing at the podium, when I turn around to walk off, the chief's going to bump into me and say, that's assault on police. Something stupid like that. We've seen it in Leon Valley with Savaggio and some others. But so I knew something was going to come. So I said, well, let me just give them something they can't resist. And a tyrant is going to be a tyrant no matter what, you know. And sure enough. So, but I will be there Monday for the city council meeting. I am officially untrespassed, so I'm gonna pop in and that charge has been dropped. That disorderly conduct charge has been dropped. I still have the jaywalking ticket to address.
Yeah, that blew me away. I was like, what?
You know, but
that's almost like saying BS. That's disorderly conduct.
Yeah. Well, one of the sergeants from that department didn't want to have to deal with what's coming, so he retired. You know, and he just said, this guy's not kidding. He's fixing to sue, and I don't want to end up getting fired and lose all my pension and benefits, so I'm taking retirement. So he retired, which may not be a bad thing for him. It might have turned out to be a good idea.
Carlos may end up retiring at 31. I don't know.
I think Carlos is okay. So here's the thing. First off, you know what his name is? His first name? Carlos
Adolfo.
Is his last name.
Yeah,
Adolfo.
right.
Do you know what that translates to in English?
Hitler? I don't know.
No. Adolf.
Adolf. Yeah.
What a name! What are the odds that he would have that name? The problem he's going to have now is anybody potentially that would want to hire him is going to see this video, and so he's going to have a very difficult time getting on with any other police department out there.
Well, somebody put in the comments he'll just go up to Big Cabin and be the captain.
I don't know where Big Cabin is, but
it's north on 69. You come down 44 to 69 to head down to Adair, and apparently Big Cabin about 6-8 months ago had 3 officers have to retire because of corruption.
Imagine
they
that.
were skimming funds. They were telling people, well, just give me $50 and I'll let you go. And so the police chief and 2 officers had to retire just 6 months ago. So the corruption there is enormous.
Yeah, but
they only have 1 cop there now.
But the problem he's going to run into is there are eyes on him, and so he's going to have a hard time getting on anywhere else. That assumes Adair actually lets him go, which I suspect they will, because he has brought too much heat to them, and they know people like me now have got eyes on him. We're coming for him.
Well, and if I can't get any satisfaction with the local Fox affiliates, I'll go nationally. I'm going to get this into some kind of mainstream media outlet.
I've got some. I'll send it over to Inside Edition. I've got a contact at Inside Edition. I'll send it over there to them. I don't know that they'll do anything with it, but I'll give it a shot. I mean, all they can do is say no.
I got a call from because when he first put the video up, he did not take out Flavia saying our home phone number. And so
they
it was
got your
in there.
number.
It was in there for about an hour. I got a call from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. One of the reporters goes, my wife and I watched it. We watched it twice. Dude, I'm so livid right now. I can't hardly even stand. He goes, can I get together with you and write a story? I said, sure, just call me. I gave you my cell number. And so that may pan out. I don't know.
Well, so the problem that you're going to run into with mainstream media is they don't want to rock the boat too much. You know, if it's some kind of big incident, they'll jump right into it, okay, because it's expected. But editors don't like little things like this. Oh, it was just an isolated incident. Well, it's not an isolated incident. It's happening everywhere all the time.
Right.
But they don't want to cover it. But I
What
hope
if
that guy.
What if 10,000 people call their news desk?
Sometimes you'll get some attention. Sometimes you won't.
Hey, I got time. I'll try.
Try Oklahoma City. The affiliates in Oklahoma City, give them a try, or Tulsa. You know, the bigger areas.
Far enough away that they're not so local.
Correct. You'll get better results that way, I believe. I mean, I've still got people, you know, in there saying, "Oh, that officer handled that right. That man was out of lines." What? On what planet? I don't.
Hey, I don't. Here's how I look at this. I put it out there, and for some reason on the YouTube channel that I started, it's not letting anyone see the comments. And everybody keeps saying, oh, the creator turned the comments. They're not turned off. They're on, and there's no restrictions to them. So I don't know why they're not showing up. So I need to get a hold of YouTube and find out what's going on with the comments.
YouTube will, and I get that all the time. People say, hey, you deleted my comment. It was up a minute ago, now it's gone. I didn't. YouTube sometimes on its own will delete comments, and I don't know why or how that works, but they remove comments on a regular basis. So
yeah, but they none of them show up. It says 0 comments. It's been up for 6 days.
That's weird.
But Lacklusters has, I don't know, 10,000 comments.
And you sure they're not? You sure you don't have them turned off? Comments
I
turned off?
went and looked at my dashboard last night when I got home after I found out.
Huh. Okay.
I actually found out from a creator.
Oh, okay. Wait. You looked at your dashboard, but did you look at the video settings themselves? Not the dashboard. Go to the video. Click on. You know what? We're fixing to get off of here, and I'll talk you through it. I'll run you through it real quick because I can actually show you my screen and show you how to do it. So, all right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. Hey, whoever sent all that super chat over, thank you. I appreciate it. I may use that for a road trip here pretty quick. Hope y'all enjoyed Mark. I have no words for what this dude had to deal with and is still dealing with. But we'll get updates from him as this goes on. And I think that's it. Y'all be safe, and we'll see you again soon. Wave bye, Mark.
Guys.
Okay, give it a second because we're running this through my son's channel.